Game Awards are tomorrow night, Thursday night, and it's going to be wild. I think there's going to be a lot of surprises. I think there's going to be a lot of not so much surprises, but before we get there and a good full day and a half out, I wanted to go ahead and kind of put my predictions for all some of the major categories I'm looking forward to out there. And then I'm going to follow it up with kind of what I think is actually going to happen. These are my predictions, like what I think. And then what I think is probably going to happen. But before we get into these, subscribe to the channel, throw a like on the video, share it around, tell your friends, tell your folks, tell your pets, tell everybody who's got a YouTube account. Tell them to holler at me, come check it out. Come over here where we got the good stuff going on. So without further ado, this is probably not going to be too long of a video. I'm just going to throw these predictions out there and let you all do with them what you will. I'm going to lead off with what I think is the slam dunk. There are some other good games in this, other anticipated games in this category, but most anticipated game, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I mean, come on. You know where you're at, right? You know where you're at, right? Plus, I think it's also kind of a lock. I mean, this game, like even back at Summer Games Fest when Jeff Keighley came out, he's like, the rumors were true, like, what's gonna beat that as far as like games that are coming up? Nothing. So most anticipated game is going to go to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, no questions asked. Best adaptation, this one's going to be a little controversial in my opinion, because you've got some movies, you've got some TV shows, and like what space do you have to work with? How much time do you have to adapt a story and all that kind of stuff? Last of Us was excellent. I thought The Last of Us was excellent, but that's not my best adaptation. My best adaptation was Super Mario Brothers. There is no way before I saw that movie that I thought it was going to be as good as it was. There was no way I thought that movie was going to be anything more than just a goofy romp for like a couple of hours. The movie was good. The movie was great, and I cared about the characters. I love what they did with Mario's family dynamic back in the real world, back in Brooklyn. I was like, wow, that was the best adaptation of the year for me. The other ones are pretty good. Last of Us was excellent, but for me, Super Mario Brothers was the adaptation, the best adaptation of the year. Now, what's going to win it? Last of Us is going to win it. Last of Us is going to win it, but my pick is Super Mario Brothers. Hands down, no questions. Best RPG. For me, it was Sea of Stars. Sea of Stars is actually my game of the year. Sea of Stars is my game of the year. And Star Ocean Second Story R is amazing too. But Sea of Stars is my game of the year, period. So easily, best RPG of the year. I liked it. I liked Sea of Stars better than Final Fantasy 16. I liked it better than every other game I played this year. Now, what's going to win it? Probably Baldur's Gate 3. Probably Baldur's Gate 3. As far as like mass appeal, that's pretty undeniable. And a lot of people didn't play Sea of Stars. Like, I rephrase it, a lot of people did, but not the amount of people that played like mainstream, like that played Baldur's Gate 3, stuff like that. Not to take anything away from BG3. That game, I trust the opinions of everyone who played it, and it is an amazing game, because you all said it was. I haven't had a chance to play it yet. I'm going to try to get into that next year before Rebirth comes out. Best Action Adventure. This was a tie for me. I'm going to be honest. I know that's cop-out. And, well, if I have to pick one, and this might contradict my GOTY just a little bit, because it was tied for me between Alan Wake and Resident Evil 4, because they are both excellent. Excellent. Resident Evil 4 is an incredible remake. Better than the original in many ways. Don't hit me. I mean, it is. It is. It is a true remake, and Capcom is really getting good with nailing these remakes. Resident Evil 4 was incredible. I can't wait to see what Code Veronica looks like. Wink, wink. It's happening. Alan Wake. I'm gonna have to pick Alan Wake because that game, the atmosphere of that game, the story, the narrative, how it takes chances with what it does in the game is so impressive. And kind of in the same same vein as Alan Wake, the first game. It takes some chances, it does some things, it takes some risks, but they all pay off. They're all the right decisions. So I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't played the game. You need to play Alan Wake 2 for sure. That is an incredible game. But what's going to win it? Spider-Man. Spider-Man's going to win it. But my pick is Alan Wake. After much struggling between Alan Wake and Resident Evil 4, I'm picking Alan Wake. My pick. Spider-Man will probably win it though. Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2. Best ongoing game. I wanted to comment on this one. I wanted to make a pick, even though I don't really have much skin in this game on this one. I know everybody's going to say, I'm going to say Final Fantasy 14. I am not. I am not. I think it's going to be Cyberpunk 2077, because all year I have seen people talking about this game in glowing fashion on Twitter, people I physically know out in the real world when I go out and actually touch some grass, and people I talk to. Like, they all love the changes, the fixes, the corrections that have been made to the game, and especially with the expansion that came out last year, everybody talking about this game. I think Cyberpunk 2077 is going to win it, and people have kind of fallen off of 14 a little bit just because they're in between updates and stuff right now or whatever. But I think it's going to be Cyberpunk. Best performance, Yuri Lowenthal. I think just watching some of the stuff and knowing how he had to prepare for that role, and knowing everyone that's played the game and all these different games, they don't talk about the performances from these other games. Everybody talks about Yuri Lowenthal's performance in Spider-Man 2, and I have gone on YouTube and I have watched some of it. It is amazing. It is amazing, and he definitely deserves the award. I hope he gets it. I hope he gets it. I think he's hands down the best performance of the year. Best score for me, this is easy. Final Fantasy 16. Final Fantasy 16 score was amazing. It was probably the highlight of the game. The game had its issues and stuff as a whole or whatever, you know, we've been up and down the road on that. The score is flawless. The score is amazing. And Masayoshi Soken really killed it. Like, he brought out the emotion, he brought out the adventure, he brought out the grandeur and the epicness of the tale. The quiet moments felt very personal, felt very intimate, and the big ruckus, you know, the big moments and everything, they felt grand. They felt very big. So everything about the score I thought was great. I think that's the score of the year. Now, best narrative. Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2. It's incredible. Again, I keep going back to that game because it was unlike anything I have played in a very long time. It takes a lot of chances, it takes a lot of risks with the narrative, and even the gameplay and some of the decisions the devs made when making this game. You could tell they were taking chances, and I thought all of them paid off. And the narrative of the story and the way they tell the story, for me, it was like this weird fever dream, you know. And it was like, it takes you out of your comfort zone. It's very uncomfortable but very rewarding, and has a big payoff, and even leaves some things out there for you. I don't want to spoil anything, but it leaves some things to interpretation, and it also leaves it open in a way. So I thought the narrative of Alan Wake 2 was great. I think it should win that award. Now, GOTY, Game of the Year. Game of the Year. Alan Wake 2 is my Game of the Year. It is the GOTY by far of the games that are on this list. Now, my personal favorite Game of the Year, like I said earlier, was Sea of Stars, but that did not make this list. So of everything on this list, Alan Wake 2 is my Game of the Year. And if I'm being honest, it's not even close. It's not even close. From like the things I did play, now to be fair, I did not play Baldur's Gate 3, I did not play Spider-Man 2, but I have watched a lot of people play it. I have talked to a lot of people that have played those games, and everything I've seen, everything I've heard, I don't think they're better than Alan Wake 2. I don't. Resident Evil 4 was amazing. Alan Wake 2 is my pick. Now, what's probably going to win it? You thought I was going to say Spider-Man 2, didn't you? I am not going to say Spider-Man 2. I think what's actually going to win it is Baldur's Gate 3. I think there is a lot of meat on the bone for that game. I think it has a lot of gameplay value. I think they do a lot with it. The performances are great. The music is fantastic. The gameplay is really nice, really crisp. And everybody who's played it loved it. It's just a great experience. You can say the same thing for Spider-Man 2 as well, for everybody who played that game. But I feel like Baldur's Gate 3, there's this groundswell of support. And there is this like underdog mentality with the game. Even though it had a pretty nice budget, I think people are getting behind it, and people are getting behind the development studio as well. Baldur's Gate 3 will probably win it, but my pick, my personal game of the year, was Alan Wake 2. So anyway, that's my stuff. What do you think about that? So post your comments below, let me know what you thought about that. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out tomorrow night, right? So I didn't go over every award. The esports stuff I don't care about. There's a lot of other stuff that I can't comment on because I know nothing about the category. I know nothing about the games in the categories. So, but these are just the ones that I felt like I wanted to comment on because I feel like I got a little skin in the game on those. So anyway, but let me know what you all thought. And until next time, you all have a great day. Be safe, be good to each other, keep rocking, and I will see you all later today. Have a great one. I want to say a quick thank you to my YouTube and Patreon members and supporters. If you would like to support the future creation of content on this channel, get some few extra perks and some art sent to your door every month, consider becoming a Patreon or YouTube member. Details and links are in the video description.